There I am. All right. Is it properly blurry?
Yes.
Can't see my mess, and you can hear me just fine.
Yes.
Awesome.
I believe Gerardo is already on. I just want to make
Hey,
sure.
here I was gearing up my conversation to be all information. Now I get to share some inspiration as we talk together. Hello, Adam. Good morning. Oh, that's what I was looking up. I got some cool
Okay.
influencers lately.
Sweet. We
Hopefully
are
I get
live. We're live on
okay.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. All right.
Oh, all of the spaces.
All of the
Cool.
spaces, we are live. And Gerardo is here, but his
Okay, well,
video
let's
is.
give some folks a minute, and then I want to pull up the arts development website if I can. What are we talking to Gerardo about? Let's see. Oh, I love it. All right, welcome. Good morning, everyone. It is a bright and shiny and beautiful early 8 a.m. and welcome to Builder Square, our discussions surrounding development in urban areas. And we talk to diverse developers, we talk to new developers, we talk to uh, we talk to residents and community leaders and all of the people in between. And actually, after this conversation or during this conversation, if you would like to be considered to be a panelist, go ahead and drop us some comments in the comment section, and we'll get you a link to fill out a quick little survey, and you can determine which panel you would like to participate in. We have a total of 6 panels, and this is our second one. So we got 4 to go, and the subjects are really interesting, very very interesting. Today we are talking about community involvement with our good friend Gerardo Ituarte. Whenever he gets around, and we're going to have a quick conversation with him. Then we're going to go into some news and opportunity sharing. If you're a reader of our opportunity report, you probably got an email yesterday. You definitely got an email yesterday. Check your email. Check your email. You got an email yesterday. So if you got our opportunity report yesterday, you're probably learning about this event. You're learning about some other town halls that are happening at the Maestro Center. You learned about the Community First Health Plan Stuff to Pantry challenge, and let's see. Also, that yes, I was featured on the Land and Money podcast with Adam Gates, who we follow up this conversation with live in Twitter Spaces. So you can join us on Twitter Spaces after this convo, and we'll talk more about development, land, and of course, money. But today we're talking community involvement. Community involvement, community interaction. Why do we need it? Why are communities being developed right now? Also, where are the places where developers go ahead and get that interaction that they need? Because
Mhm.
without community interaction, our developers, our neighborhood developers, um, will not be able to build along the growth of the community, along the culture of the community, right? And so we are so. Oh, Uche just made our faces really big. I do not
With the
like.
screen.
I do not like it, Uche. It's horrible. And also, I don't have my glasses on this morning.
Me
Misplaced.
neither.
Wow, look at us. You. It says you are Christian Redog, but also at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so let's get into one of our favorite things in terms of this conversation, Uche. We've been growing, and I know you're over there uh, on the ones and twos, organizing and production, but we've been in development adjacent projects for some years now, right? We've worked with East Point office. ECHU has worked with University Health System as they brought the new Hilliard Center to the east side. We created some recidivism programs, some second chance programs. All of that is development. Done a couple groundbreakings for some really cool people, and then also instituted methods in which core programming and uh, everyday development can intertwine and piece together some conversations. So we've had a really good time. And now, as we dive deeper in this conversation, these Builder Square events, grateful to architects Moody Nolan, are actually teaching us a lot more on how we can get involved in development,
Yep.
right? So uh, I love our local news in San Antonio. We got some
Hmm.
really good local news in San Antonio, and that's just not me just being a publicist, you know. But we got some news that really focuses in on projects. There's more than just, I shouldn't say just, like the crane watch. Are you familiar with crane watching? Like
Hmm. Hmm.
um,
Crane watch.
the big
You got your
old
yeah,
skyscaper.
yeah. You
Yeah.
got San Heron, Heron that focuses on development. Of course, we
Uh-huh.
have our San Antonio Business Journal. It's just always about development. SA Inc. Express News development arm. We talked
Mhm.
about business
The business
development
arm, yeah.
and also any kind of like
And San Antonio Report. Don't forget about the report.
of course the senator.
Happy birthday to San Antonio Report. They just
Happy
celebrated
birthday.
10 years, yeah. But no,
10.
San Antonio Heron is one of my favorite, and I'm actually on one of their articles right now. Ben Olivo, I feel like he went in. Rising rates, high occupancies signal decade of downtown in San Antonio has worked, developed. It has worked, and that's what the developers are saying. So I urge everyone to go ahead and hit up saheron.com and check out those pieces uh, about everything from workforce to low income housing to what the municipal bonds will do, especially the bond situation. I actually followed yesterday, I caught one of my favorite Instagram influencers. I'm going to say influencers. She's more like a activist influencer, if you know what I mean. Radical registrars. I don't know if my okay, well, it's not going to do it. Radical registrars, and we'll drop this in the comments, is their bio is radically impacting the way our community votes. Early
Mhm.
voting is right now in San Antonio, so get out, and get active and early vote. And then they also register people to vote here in San Antonio. So I really enjoy their content. They host things like Mythbusters. They host events, everyday events. But what I really love that in her stories or in her reels, she went down the line as to what every proposition on the bond is paying for.
Mhm.
And she did this in such a way that I was like really enthralled by the video. And I haven't. It's not like that I haven't seen it broken down the way she did it, but it was just very convenient, very quick, very to the point, and I'm very grateful. So visit Radical Registrars, TRARS Registrars, on Instagram, so you can catch up with what money. This is almost $2 billion, another 2 billion. The previous one was around 2.1 billion, with the SAISD getting 1.2 billion out of that. So almost half went to education the last time. This one currently is more so infrastructure type situations. There's some sneaky things in there.
And
So
let's talk about how the bond is actually the largest, community engagement push that every city has to implement. Depending on the city, every year, every 2 years, every 4 years. Communicating the bond package to actual the entire city, which affects everybody at certain levels, and of course, the largest amount of dollars actually single investment back into the community. So whether that's your school, your infrastructure, new buildings, new railroads, new transportation system, it does not matter. So it's really important to really pay attention to that kind of community engagement.
yeah, it's very important. And then at the same time, it's public relations, right? So
Mhm.
as we focus in on bonds, we've seen voting differ across. various council lines, community lines, neighborhood lines, and streets and barriers. But I'm beginning to believe that San Antonians are now beginning to understand that voting across bond projects that affect our entire city is extremely important, as well as creating equity. Meaning, if you don't have that access to that neighborhood or that community, you shouldn't necessarily want to halt their projects. You
Yep.
should want to create a valuable, equitable experience for visitors and neighbors alike across the cities, across the silos of San Antonio, across our very culturally endowed neighborhoods, right?
Mhm.
And so, uh, as we have things like Compassion SA, we have opportunities for people to reach out to every council person, not just your own council person, but every single one, and really voice how we want San Antonio to be an equitably developed city, right?
Mhm.
Because there are some places that haven't gotten the attention that they deserve,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's where interaction. I mean, it's a full circle moment. If we don't
Yeah.
get the attention that we deserve, that means we need more interaction. We need more people to stand up. We need more people to go vote. We need more leaders to push their leaders to move forward in development projects. We need to use our voices, right? If you read the
Yes.
opportunity report, it's your voice. Oh no, it's your voices next month. Oh, I ruined it.
No,
This
that's
one
okay.
is
That's all
sharing your
right.
origin story.
And it's really interesting that whenever the city or planners move forward with any kind of project, they'll always go with the path of least resistance. Because they want to get things passed, they want to get things through legislature or community, and if your community is not advocating for the better things in your neighborhood, they're going to make decisions for you. Even let's talk about this election. I just listened on Texas Public Radio this morning. Only about maybe 4% of our 1.2 million eligible voters for this election have voted.
You
4%.
guys. Okay, so here's the
4%.
thing. I'm just got to now alerted. Early voting ends today.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
need to get on that. So, and then the election day is on Saturday the 7th. So
Yep.
we need to get on that right away. Um, let's see, $1.2 billion bond program, six
Mm-hmm.
propositions
Mm-hmm.
addressing streets, bridges, sidewalks, drainage. You just read this: flood control, parks and recreation, library and cultural facilities, public safety facilities. But the public safety facilities one needs a new conversation because you guys they in affordable housing. The public safety one, I swear they put some stuff in there for like animal control and stuff, and I'm like,
But,
hi,
but let's
well,
let's. For public safety, I always say if you're doing public safety, it needs more animal control. If there's one big
I
thing
mean,
about community
the
development,
animals is the real gangs. Like
but
it's
you
the
mentioned another
dogs.
good thing. You mentioned a very vital thing. One let's go back a few years so we have historical facts around us, right?
Mhm.
So the East Side, it was ripe for development, 20, 30 years ago, right when they were building the AT&T Center. And in that process, when they built it, one of the things that was promised to the community was there'll be more entertainment opportunities around the community. Now, what happened? Well, next election cycle, there was a lot of redistricting. There was a lot of voting on, what is a residential, what is an industrial, what is a commercial, and the East Side community didn't come out and speak up about some of these issues. So what happened is they started placing a lot of industrial complexes around the AT&T Center. And when you start doing that, that obviously causes, whether that's sound pollution, whether that's light pollution, inability to actually enjoy the area because obviously you don't want no one wants to be around a factory.
It's
Um,
development pollution,
Development pollution. And now development is not bad, but it's bad
no,
when it affects the neighborhood and the
the
economic
mobility,
the
yes,
mobility.
the way to
Yes,
interact. And we've been
exactly. So,
spending way, way, way more money every single year, right? And yeah,
mhm.
It's about getting out there and getting open because development happens. And that's what the whole mantra of Builder Square is. Development's going to happen and it's going to grow. So
Yeah.
in 2007, between 2007 and 2012, it was the bond was only suggested at 550 million.
Mm-hmm.
That was only 10 years ago. Like that was 2012, so that was 10 years ago. Now we have literally gotten up to 1.2 billion, and in every single year in previous years, it has hopped like a lot, like
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of millions of dollars. So
Mm-hmm.
development is going to happen regardless on if want new things in your neighborhood or not, or if you think you can't afford new things in your neighborhood or not. Because I'm not going to say it like that because there are programs, and I know our District Two Councilman Councilman Jalen Rodriguez, he just hosted a very informative talk about new programs that you can get into if you're over a certain age. I do believe it's 65 and older, and you want to make sure that your property taxes are locked in at a specific price, at a
Mm-hmm.
specific rate. Also, in our bond program this year, and I just lost us, in our bond program this year, um, there are some very, very cool, I don't know if I call them abatements, whereas as the city and the state invest in education, it
Mm-hmm.
affects the property tax rate of persons 65 and older. So I implore you all to go and visit that if you have not paid any attention to that. I just got the gist of it from the Radical Registrar's page. So go ahead and check them out. Y'all, I got a lot of good feedback. Like the way she broke it down was just so convenient. Okay,
Yeah.
especially when it's right around the time of Builder Square. So I implore you to go and visit Radical Registrars. Um, Uche got a full cup
So
of water. I am
I had to switch from coffee to water this morning.
the last bit of coffee in here, and I'm like,
So, so community engagement, community engagement. Now, we always while we wait for Gerardo, right? He's actually here, but he's not here. Sorry, y'all. I think he's on the phone, but that's okay. Developers early in the morning, you are handling a lot of construction projects. Sometimes you get pulled away, but let's talk about this, right? One key thing that I've always seen, especially in the San Antonio community, is our inability to engage when it comes to bond projects. And the question is, do people understand how important some of these projects are, or some of these infrastructure developments are, or some of these policy changes that are happening, or do they just not care about some
well,
of these
they have
policies?
to care, right? Don't we have to care?
Or is it a lack of education? Because it could be a number of these three things, whereby it may be a mix of, what, it doesn't affect me, or I don't know much about it, so it doesn't affect, and I don't really know how it affects me, or what, hey, I want to engage, but every time I engage, I feel like my voice is not heard. I feel like I'm not communicating with the right people. I always try to pull up this example of the last community engagement event meeting we went to with the city, where a number of community members came out to share their voice and learn about what was going on with the pond project. But half of the room was like, we don't know if they're going to actually take our word and apply it to whatever plans they have, because we feel we're not being listened to. So how do we change that culture? How do we start engaging that culture?
I feel like you're interviewing me now. Look at us.
Oh, I will, Christian. I will interview you. You are the
Okay,
queen of community engagement. You
and
know
that's a good
exactly.
question, mainly because and we were in that room because we're part of this community, and we're in that room because we want to, of course, read the lay of the land post COVID. How do you get community engagement? How do you expect community engagement? And I think in that space, it wasn't really expected for that community to come out and be as active as it was. Consistency is one thing, right? If you start going now, you cannot stop going to those meetings. They have to see you, right? If we expect people to show up for us, we have to show up for ourselves at first.
Mhm.
And so I've always, it really really preach to either entrepreneurs and neighbors alike. When you want to get involved and you want to get your voice listened to, you consistently attend spaces where they are listening and asking for involvement. And then, of course, it is taking in that message that you've received, that message that you are to understand and you are supposed to give your feedback on, and taking it to the larger platforms. Gone are the days where we can get information and just sit on it. Now we have to become leaders wherever we are, and we have to share the information, and we have to preach the good word of development. Okay, we have to.
Mhm.
I'm not saying knock on doors and ask if people know about how good the bond can be, but definitely know that it is important to be vocal and to share and to look for opportunity in development,
Mhm.
and open up our mindsets. And I feel that that is the last thing is to encourage open mindsets. And we don't encourage open mindsets because we don't apply value at first. I love when we start talking about the bond, and we're always talking about early vote, early vote, early vote, but we don't really push the value of it. As soon as we started talking about the billions of dollars, people looked up. Okay, people are like, "What you mean, bill? Who got the billions?" The billions are in this bond, and
Mhm.
they will affect our community specifically because we've had a lot of infrastructure go almost unattended to for years. I mean, when we say we will say Black and Brown communities, marginalized communities, East Side near
Exactly.
downtown, and that's that's in print. That's in black and white. So I'm not just out here talking about discrimination.
No,
Um,
you're right.
but I see that the bond right now, $471 million will go to streets, bridges, and sidewalks. Where are the bridges?
Where are the sidewalks? But
Where
another
do they
key
not
thing.
have sidewalks? You all.
But another key thing is this, right? Due to lack of community engagement, we've not had equitable, and I say equitable, distribution of funds. The city will always mention that, oh, we have over $1 billion worth of sidewalks we need to either construct or fix. And I get it. Sidewalks are constant, they need constant maintenance. And you know, we can't go back in the past and figure out why what they were some of the sidewalks were maintained, but the city is now trying to catch up and put more effort into the sidewalks. But if we don't have community members advocating for their own street, they're not gonna think that you want a sidewalk. If a whole block of people, nobody votes, nobody attends community engagement meetings, no one is writing to their councilman, they're not going to fix that street. They're not going to fix that sidewalk. They're going to totally ignore that route because, in their opinion, no one is there.
They don't even see it.
They
It's
never
not
see
on
it.
their radar. We haven't put it on their radar. Now, how do we get things on the radar?
All right, that's a good question. First things first, know your council member. I can't stress that enough. People always feel, oh, the council member is not listening, but trust me and believe me, not many people contact their council member as many people may think. Not many people do. And most times, if you are talking to your council member or if you're contacting a council member, is maybe one of 10 other people. And they will note your name and they will initially, and I always say this, humans are humans. The first call, they'll be like, is this really serious? Who's this person? Who are you? Why are you bothering us? Kind of thing. Not that
Mm.
you're bothering them. It's just you may slip through the cracks.
Introduce
But
yourself.
introduce yourself, continually engage, continually contact. Trust me, by the third week, and trust me, it takes that long to get someone's attention. Just think about if you're trying to date a girl or a guy. You're trying to get attention. How long it take you? Is it one day? No, it takes time. You gotta coax, you gotta cajole, you gotta, flirt a little bit,
Ninja.
smile, ginger them, like Niger, ginger them a little bit before they actually get your attention. It's the same
Okay.
way. All humans are the same. So if you're trying to get your council members' attention, you need to call. Make it a, what? Every week I'm gonna call this number and I'm gonna say something. They have to record every call. They have to review every call by law. By law. So they can't ignore you. And by the time you really get their attention, give them 3 times. 3 times the charm. That's how I believe. then you start getting response. But that's what we have to do for community engagement. There's no other way you can go around it.
Or yes, I mean
Mhm.
yes. Okay, that's thank you. Uche is on this side over here. Thank you,
Yeah.
Uche. Uche is like, yo, I choose what is it? Persistence.
Yes.
And I choose service. So this is our dynamic, right? I'm like, well, on their website, they usually offer, commission seats. They offer opportunities to serve as a volunteer in the food bank. You can catch up with them at office hours. I know that Councilwoman Anna Sandoval has weekly and monthly um, live chats also on Facebook, and she interacts with a lot of different business owners, community members. You can catch up with there and be a good viewer and a fan and a follower and stay engaged in those spaces. I love when Jalen he released his calendar recently. Councilman Jalen released his calendar recently of all of his office hours, and
Hmm.
he has them at like Basie's, which
Hmm.
if you love hush puppies, go to
Yeah.
Basie's. So
Shout
yeah,
out to
so
Macy's.
shout out to Basie's, and so like, and they're in different neighborhoods near you, right? And maybe other councilmen do other things. I know I get emails from all the council persons' offices. That's another thing that you can definitely do. I just dropped a couple links in the chat. If you're on LinkedIn or if you're on Facebook, find your council member link. It's a San Antonio government website, city website, and you can find your council member there. And then you can also sign up for their newsletters. Get their newsletters, read the newsletters, forward their newsletters, share the newsletters with your communities. It's very important to stay involved with those things. And I find that the newsletters really have a lot of good insight into like fitness events lately, fitness in the park, different music events. So it's a win-win if you're trying to get involved or you're just trying to have some fun, you know? So also put in there some more information from San Antonio Heron that they created a very in-depth piece around the bond. So we want to make sure we click those links and read them and share them, okay? Because it's really important that our entire community understands just how much these infrastructure decisions can affect our local communities. Now let's talk to the business owners. What does the bond got to do with us? Uche, this is not free game Friday. But
This is
as
not free.
business people, we have to start paying attention to, and this is specifically and solely for our entrepreneurial friends. The bond means that we have a lot of selling to do. We're builders, right? We build interactive campaigns. We
Mm.
build campaigns that really engage with community groups, niche community groups, and our effort is to create opportunities for them to engage with large scale organizations, city offices, development offices, and the such. Uh, as entrepreneurs, we actually, and I hate to use the analogy of like we are the attorneys chasing the ambulance. We're pulling up there and giving our card out, okay?
You
Because
gotta get business sometimes.
you gotta do it. You gotta follow along. You gotta say, all right, where are they spending the money? Where the money reside, that's where I need to be. Right. So I know that all of this engagement and the bond is not our client. The bond is not our client. Sometimes getting projects on the bond can be our project. We're consultants for other firms that are not in the consultation space. Maybe you're in the construction space. You need to go and start ideating who can you be a subcontractor for, or if you're ready for prime, now is the time to start networking for those prime opportunities in those spaces. And when I say the bond is reaching out to a whole lot of different spaces. There's drainage and flood control, parks and recreation, libraries and cultural facilities, public safety facilities, and affordable housing. So all of those institute construction, of course, and development and architecture. All of those need art for their
Yes.
walls, right? The experiential design portion of them. They may need some libraries and cultural facilities, archivists, people that do special presentations of different
Hmm.
projects and things of that sort. So organizations that focus in on cultural histories, right?
Hmm.
Parks and recreation going to need some landscaping. Let's get into it. If we're really going to talk about how the bond can affect us, I see all of this money as potential invoices. And our entrepreneurial network will definitely probably see the same thing after we talk about how to get involved in this outreach, right? Our outreach is not only to our neighbors and our communities, our outreach is to our communities of entrepreneurs so that we can do everything we can to make sure we enrich our community. We really build our community. So, as entrepreneurs, looking at how the bond is going to obligate the city to a specific spend, we need to
Mhm,
start scaling our scopes to align ourselves with these projects,
mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Right. So,
Yes, sir.
as facilities get built, new technology, as um, affordable housing gets built, of course, there's always opportunities in affordable housing. That structure, that system of work, that what did we used to call it when we worked for Sam Ministries? Um,
The uh, three
not
six.
it's not the curriculum
No.
of care. It was a circular motion of care, right? It's an entire like ecosystem of care that we
Yes.
offer to people in various stages of houselessness. Um,
Mhm,
and uh, and there's community programs, there's food programs, there's latchkey services that affordable housing pays into. There's of
mhm,
course design services, advanced learning services that can be
mhm,
applied into those spaces. So we think well beyond. It's not just, oh, I hear the tractors and the trailers. Oh, I see the cranes. It's in. Oh, excuse me, guys. It's in the intricacies of how these projects will affect every day, will thrive every single day, right? The bond is a
Hello, hello,
is
hello.
Hey, Gerardo, how
hey
are you?
Alejandro.
Hello. Sorry, I have been having a lot of difficulties to, to get into this. I'm
Oh, no
travel.
worries,
I,
no worries.
I'm out of San Antonio. I'm traveling, and having a lot of issues. I have heard some of what you guys have said. I tried to, do something in my cell because I'm taking this on my cell. But sorry, but
Your your
let me
voice is
jump a little bit.
broken.
Let me jump a little bit into what you guys have said, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Few things that I heard, because again, I have been going back and forward with my internet access and all that. But anyway, uh, you were saying, and I think it was Chris saying that development is gonna come. That's something that it's a fact. Families grow, cities grow, people grow. So what we're gonna keep on seeing in the future is things to be changed. Development, it's part of us, and it has been always part of us. So the other thing that I have heard from what you have been sharing is the bond that a lot of funds that we may end up kind of being benefit with, and all these cool things about having money. Yeah, that's cool, but let me jump into what I truly believe. Again, I do believe in development. As I have been doing this for many years now, and I have been involved with this for many years now, and I'm one of those who believe that at the end everything goes to the community, regardless if you're talking about the bond or regardless if you talk about what we do as developers. We always touch the community. So yes, we need to be engaged with it, or either, as you were kind of saying, voting, and let's try to move some funds to what are the things that we need as a community in our places. But again, us as developers, we create. So rather than other disciplines, let's say builders, they build, they follow the drawings, and that's what they do. But we as developers, we create, and we have this thing of thinking a little bit out of the box and bringing something to our communities. And in our case, that's pretty much what we have been doing. Trying to engage more into of course, into our projects, but also into our communities and develop our communities, because at the end, we're part of them. So, you know, what I've been sharing to you guys, yeah, I live on. engaging with a bond and all that. But it's truly, what are we going to end up doing? What we don't do, no one is going to do it for us. So let's start by doing what it's truly directly into our hands. And what we do have in our hands is to create, let me call it, nice projects, cool projects that will benefit not only us in our business, but also our communities. Because at the end, those are the ones that are gonna end up enjoying the project for the years to come. So yes, again, our communities should be our center of every project that we do. And yes, if we end up, getting some benefits of the bond, my saying is, cool, great, let's get it, but let's create new environments for our communities, because at the end we are part of that community.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we deserve this. We
Yes.
deserve new things around us. We deserve uh, a, a global community of neighbors that really have invested a lot to participate in our cultural robustness, right? And all of the things that San Antonio's neighborhoods have. The biggest thing that I see is the culture, just how thriving the cultures are in the individual communities, and how much we deserve to have that all around us all the time. And I will say this, coming from Detroit, and Geraldo, and you can let me know what you think. But I'm from Detroit, and for years, there was no want. And I say this mainly because I often equate San Antonio's growth with Detroit's resurgence. Along the same timeline, you see San Antonio growing, you see Detroit kind of refreshing their infrastructure, refreshing their industry after 2008. This new point of view where development just began to start happening, and it happened with changes in how people were interacting, and leadership with leadership, and people investing in the communities and really coming in. But before then, there was no conversation surrounding how to make sure that our very, very sparse communities remain dense and mobile and walkable and enjoyable. um, uh, Enjoyable being one thing that I've seen you invest in a lot, Geraldo. You create spaces that not only house people, but also you've made sure that there were sitting areas and community areas in your newest development. Um, as an investment, that's something that's brand new. That option for this community, uh, in my opinion, should be celebrated. So I want to say thank you so much for making sure that your development was compassionate. How important is that compassion as you're building? How important has that compassion been as you share that message to, say, community groups and and uh, officials that direct, zoning and things? Have they been receptive of your compassion? Do you think we need a little bit more compassion to come from both sides of our spectrum, from our developers and our, I don't want to call them the rule makers, but the enforcers?
Well, let me put it this way, Chris, is that I don't know if it's compassion, telling you the truth. All right, I would say that is, being, as I was saying before, is being part of the community. You, as a member of a community, what would you like to see in a project? So when you are pretty much as we are, part of this great area of the city, in which you start, kind of understanding all the history behind it, and all the things that we can have in order to have a better place. You start understanding that walkability is something that is needed in our places. Places in which we, as members of that community, we can go and enjoy together, and meet all together. So yes, we need places such as areas in which green spaces, or areas in which we can sit and chat all together. When you see that at the end, and that's why I don't know if it's truly a compassion thing, but it's something that we're making a better living space for everyone. And when you have that, the whole community benefits. And telling you the truth, the whole business benefits, because at the end, there's going to be more demand for what we do as well. So the thing is that not everybody understands that. A lot of people, they do believe that, that's, let's say, on a business standpoint, that's a cost. So bringing art as we do into our projects, bringing green spaces, bringing, things to make the area more walkable. A lot of people, they believe that that's more kind of a cost. We do believe that that's more an investment. At same token, as our authorities, they tend to follow what they have been doing for years now. You know, they're used to just see projects in which you have a single home and that's it. When you start bringing them and telling them, "Hey, we're gonna end up placing bike racks. We want to place some benches. We want to have these murals or these sculptures," is like, what? What is this? you know, we are in residential area, so zoning. Well, yes, but people walk on a residential area, people bike on a residential area. So wouldn't it be better and for everyone, to have a place where they can place their bikes? So those sort of discussions we start having with the authorities, and little by little, they have been kind of digesting all these things and understanding them and accepting them. But yeah, it's it hasn't been easy. But I would say that little by little, they have been understanding that this is for the benefit as well as for the city, not only for the community per se. So yeah, it has been an interesting road. When jumping into it has been fun, but yeah, it has been kind of difficult as well. But at the end, our belief is that in the years to come, again, we're gonna end up seeing, a more solid and robust community in which we're gonna know each other. We were going to end up understanding what are exactly our needs. And then when you start creating this ambient, then we're going to go back to what you guys were saying, during the previous part of the conversation of more engagement, more people voting, more people, getting into things, because now they're part of this movement of, hey, this is what we all talk about. This is what we all need. And that's when things are truly going to change versus today that, nobody talks to each other. We don't walk together because no one wants to go outside. No one wants to join because there's no places to do that. So
Mhm.
when you start creating those spaces, things, at least in our perspective, are going to be different in the future.
Beautiful, beautiful. We have a viewer question for you, Gerardo. This is from Adam Gates. I don't. He seems familiar with it. He said, "Can he speak a bit about making trade connections in the community to create a cooperative environment?" The roofer story. I guess that's an
He got
interesting.
really specific with that one.
He
You
got
know what?
very specific. So, Gerard, do you can you? Well, I don't know how much about the roofer story, but his question is, can you speak a bit about making trade connections in the community to create a cooperative environment?
Well, what I can share is that the way that we try to do things is pretty much engaging to our, let me call it, the world around us. Okay, and with this, what I mean is every project that we end up developing, yeah, we try to understand what's around us, not only our next neighbors that that they're just pretty much near to us, but all the needs that we perceive that the area may need. And based upon that, then we start creating our projects, considering that. And because of that, in our specific case, yes, we start engaging and learning of what people needs are, but also what people may offer us in a certain way. So, for example, in the case of the artists that we use, I always say that, if we're in San Antonio, we should use San Antonio's artists rather than something outside, and even, locals. By that I mean, who are those artists that are part of our neighborhood that they can jump into this. So those are the trade connections that we do. We end up looking for those artists that they live around the neighborhood, and Kate, come on and do the mural, or do the sculpture, or companies that they may offer us certain things, materials. We buy a lot of materials, so we tend to use those companies that are nearby us. If we end up needing whatever, let me call it any trade, if we need a plumber, if we need an electrician, if we need whatever, we tend first to look for what is in our area, and then later on bring, if there's none, well, we look for something else. But when we do that, then we are again creating more value around the neighborhood, around the area, around the community, that at the end is a benefit for everyone. So yes, those trade connections are key, especially if you're able to do it within your community.
And that's absolutely amazing. That's a confirmation for us. We were just talking about the large scale development and how entrepreneurs and business persons can go and look at these developments and find ways in which they can interact as either vendors or supporters. But you are basically creating your own ecosystem, and you don't have small projects. I don't want to say yours. I mean, you don't have $1.2 billion in projects, but you're creating your own ecosystem of supporting local, and that is amazing. And we are grateful for the many opportunities you're bringing to these communities, to work with you. If you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, everyone, I have posted a recently, I think it's from October, where Gerardo did an interview about his murals and his selection of artists and what he's bringing to the East Side with his arts development projects. And full disclosure, Geraldo is the developer of our home that we reside in, and we are just always blown away at the things that he comes up with and the way he interacts with our shared community. So we are so grateful for Geraldo for making some time with us. Uche, you had something to say.
I wanted Gerard to talk more about his mural
I love the
concepts, because
murals.
because I, this is my belief, right? And this is something unique to San Antonio. When I first saw Gerardo your mural concept, I felt that was the best form of community engagement any property can follow, just because we've seen properties go up, and four walls are four walls. There's so much you can beautify it, but when that concept of saying, what, let me make sure that whatever property I'm putting up, there is some artistic element to it, whereby individuals, communities can actually see it and have something good to look at. And it's not something that is boring. It's not something, but at the same time gets them engaged in the project, get them to ask questions about, oh, this is nice. Who is this? Who did this? Who did that? And then even further questions can be followed through about everything else around the project. So tell me about that idea and how that concept came to be, whereby you said to yourself, what, I'm going to drop an artwork on a wall real quick and get some of these folks talking about it.
First of all, thank you as well, that you have been part of what I always have shared to you guys as of this dream. So first by, yeah, living where you live. So thank you about that. But jumping into your question is, everything started again. I would say that
Y'all know
when I
Geraldo is out
started
there
working.
working, right? Geraldo don't stop working. It's the it's most mornings I see Geraldo and he is on his way to the site. Like I'm just walking the dog, just getting up. He is already working. So if he interrupts, we're just gonna go with
Well,
Gerardo,
it.
well,
sir.
I would say that at least in my own perspective, I'm not working. I'm just, loving what I do. So for me, it's not work per se. It's something that I truly enjoy. And what we have been kind of trying to create in this specific area is pretty much the reflection of that. So why we engage into that and why we did what we did is, I would say, first of all, after understanding the history behind the area and where the area came from, when you see that, this was a walkable area. This was an area in which, and I'm talking about the 1800s. Okay, so that's when history is also important to engage with. So it was a walkable area. It was an area in which community they walk and they met in different locations, mom and pops and stores that they had back in those days, and they knew each other and they talked to each other and they enjoyed being there. So when we jump into our first project, we said, hey, what could we do in order to create that atmosphere again? And that was one of the things. And then the other thing to understand, and that's jumping into, let's say, the authorities intention. There's the intention back about 20 years now that they wanted to convert this into an art district, that no one has done or was doing anything at all based upon that. Neither us as developers, neither the community, or neither the authorities. So when we end up understanding that, we said, hey, what could we do then to bring something such as that? And me and my wife, we do like art. We have always enjoyed, going to museums and walking into cities such as, for example, and there's plenty of examples. Philadelphia. If you go to Philadelphia, is it's a dream if you like murals. Because every street they have a mural. You go to Miami, and there's this cool area in which is full of murals, full of art going on. So yeah, we started understanding that, and long story short, yeah, once we did this road trip in which we engaged into all these different cities, we saw that, and we said, hey, why don't we try to bring that into into San Antonio and into this area that it's supposed to be an art district. Okay, so yes, we started meeting artists. We were lucky, telling you the truth, that we started, meeting some of them that they also wanted to be part of this dream. And as of today, thanks God, yeah, we have now what 10 murals created, 4 sculptures within, I would say, 5 blocks. Okay, so now, yeah, I would say that it's cool, to walk around those streets and start seeing those murals, and hopefully they're gonna end up coming more. And the cool thing now is that, some others, they have been starting to do some murals as well in the area. So now it's, this snowball, let me call it that way, that now it's running. Little
Yeah.
by little, it's gaining size and momentum, and hopefully, yeah, in the few coming years, we're gonna see, this to be a truly an arts district.
Yeah.
And again, as I was sharing, made out of San Antonian local artists. That's kind of a very good thing, at least in our perspective. Uh, each mural has a name, and the name is the name of the artist. So it's not our mural, it's not our sculpture, it's their sculpture, it's their mural. We have always tried to share with them that what we want is them to bring their essence and to show their own essence to the community, and the community to enjoy it.
Beautiful.
I mean, that's
Wow.
like alignment, right? That's our favorite thing. We love art. We love these developments because of the art, also because of the care that you put into building them and the care that you put into building the community as well. So we are so grateful for you and for your time. We're going to share your contact information and a couple
Hmm.
of more maybe a couple of more moments, we'll actually do like a little post event so people can see exactly whom we were talking to. And we are so grateful. We don't want to hold you up for the rest for any more time than we have to. Thank you so much, Gerardo, for joining us this morning.
No, thank you guys. And sorry because of my difficulties of joining, but thank you for inviting me.
No
No,
problem. You have a good
thank you.
morning. Bye, Gerardo.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, everybody. So that was Gerardo Eduarde. I'm gonna share a little bit more information about him in our post-event e-blast, as well as on our Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn pages as well. But we are very, very grateful for him. And Adam is alluding to things that I think he waiting to say, so we can't say it just yet.
Anyway, we are reaching the
Let's
end
see.
of the hour. Look at us. We
So
got an hour this time.
we did an hour last time, or didn't we?
Did we? Did we? Yeah, I guess we did. I guess we did. Guess we did. I felt good.
Hmm.
I like this. I like this.
Um, you all, we are Echo Public Relations, San Antonio's only black-owned full-service PR firm. We've been serving San Antonio for uh,
10 years.
10 years.
10
And
years.
we've been engaging communities alongside large organizations, with government regulatory organizations, hospitals, museums, schools, development projects for the entire time. Most recently, we have welcomed a new client by the name of Moody Nolan, and they have been absolutely integral in how we have grown to love development, community engagement, and the education campus landscape. So we urge for you to go ahead and Google search Moody Nolan. They're celebrating 40 years in the architecture industry right now. They are the country's largest Black owned architecture firm with offices in 11 cities. And we are so proud to know them and to work with them. In the coming months, we'll have a little bit more information. Last month, we were actually got to sit down with Melvin McLemore, who is the project manager of a very unique project here in San Antonio. And we learned a lot about the outlook of architecture and community involvement and community engagement. The need for the collaboration between architects and community members is integral in the development process, especially when you're talking about marginalized communities like San Antonio's urban districts, the east side, the west side, close to downtown.
All
Um,
right.
that was a lot.
Yes, it was. And we just hit 9 o'clock. So, y'all, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you guys. This is Builder Square, platform for diverse developers. And this episode was Getting Community Engagement Workshop. So, we love you. We thank you. We'll be back again in 2 weeks, same time, same place. I believe 2 weeks is going to be, I can give you the dates right now. It's actually going to be the 17th. So we hope to see you again right here on every platform: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Look at us. We hitting
And you
everything.
can catch me on Twitter Spaces with Adam Word Gates, host of the Land and Money podcast. Right after this, maybe we'll take like a new coffee cup break. But right after this, catch me on Twitter Spaces. Follow me at OG Chriso.
All right. See y'all later. Bye bye.
Bye, y'all.